What up? What up?
How you doing?
Tired.
Tyler, on Sunday, coach was asked about the fine line between scoring too fast and sustaining drives. So, what are your thoughts as a player on that kind of conundrum? You want to keep the ball, but you want to score touchdowns.
Yeah. Well, I think on offense you want to be explosive as you possibly can, but you want to be able to do it at a steady pace. It's good to be able to have those type of plays that we had because we know that we can be able to have those short drives and have success. When the defense is able to create a turnover on our side of the end zone, we're able to get the ball back. Boom, go right in and score. Like those are all the things that we're gonna need as the season progresses. But being able to control the game, being able to control the tempo, move the sticks on 1st and 10, all those different types of things, the scenarios, we got to be able to get better at that. And for us, like Tennessee did a great job being able to stop us and just being able to move the ball and controlling the clock down the field. They were doing that to us, and we were doing that early on, but we kind of got sidetracked and we lost it. And so I just think it was a good way for us to be able to learn. Luckily, it was in the second game of the season and not something where it could have been detrimental.
What do you mean when you say kind of got sidetracked and lost that concept?
I think sometimes we can get so caught up in, like, we had so many explosive plays. Like, it's like once you start seeing explosive plays happening, you want to keep doing it, And so, eventually they ended up taking away all those explosive plays, and they wanted us to be able to play short, and that's something that we'll love to do. That's something that we want to do. But when we did start doing it, we got sidetracked by the penalties, and that's what kind of hurt us in being able to keep the 3rd and short, 2nd and short, or 2nd and 5. When it's 1st and 20 and 2nd and 20, you got to be able to dig into the playbook and try to figure out how can we be able to get these yards. And for whoever team it is, explosives are around 15 plus yards. And so it's hard to be able to get that on every single play or just a couple of plays on the drive, at all. And so for us to be 2nd and 20 and stuff, it's like, what plays can we call to be able to get 10 yards or 20 yards? And it's hard when you got people who are rushing the quarterback.
When penalties aren't an issue like they were Sunday, how much better do you feel equipped offensively compared to last year to do that, to take what defenses are giving you with the underneath?
Yeah, I think we're a lot better. I think, we seen a lot of that when we played against the Colts, when we were able to move the sticks, move the ball slowly. It's 3rd and 3, 2nd and 7, and we're able to convert those third downs and being able to move the sticks, and we're controlling the clock and helping the defense stay off the field. That's the type of stuff that makes the game a lot more easier, a lot more smoother. People can get more confident. They can get more into the element of the game of however it's going. But when you got penalties, that's happening, that's what makes it so difficult for us just to be able to continue to move the ball and move the sticks, because we had great first down plays and we were getting 7 yards, 8 yards. It's 2nd and 2. But, you look back and it's flags and that's 10 yards or it's 15 yards, and now you got to kind of start over. So that's what really was shooting us in the foot. You eliminate that, I think, our offense looks a lot different in the second half.
When you guys had success deep early in that game, did you see them start to adjust defensively and take away the deep stuff and give you guys the open up the underneath stuff?
Yeah, we seen it. And like I said, I think, we seen it and we took it. And the times that we took it, we were moving the sticks, we were getting the first down, we were doing all that type of stuff. 2 minute, you seen what we were doing. It was just when we were, even the third quarter, when we got the ball, started the second half, we were still moving the ball. It doesn't mean just because you're moving the ball and you don't score, it's a loss. You're changing field position. And when we were able to do that, you see how much time we're taking off the clock, all that different type of stuff. But for us to go 3 and out and all that different type of stuff just because of penalties, that's what's shooting us on the foot. And it's actually allowing the defense to be out there more on the field when we should be the ones out there more.
Pete was up here a little bit ago talking about DK, praising his passion, but saying maybe sometimes it gets a little too emotional over the past couple of games. I'm just wondering if you have any thoughts on that, and if you've had any conversations with him about that.
Nah, I think I trust DK. I think everybody trusts DK. And so for me, like, I let DK play his game. Whatever he needs to do to be able to make sure that he's going to be at his best, I'm cool with it. because when we get into the game, I'm not worried about him on the other side. I'm not worried about him if we're on the same side. I know what he brings to the table. I know what he's going to do. I already know that he's going to get right, and it's because I see it every day at practice. Kind of like y'all was hearing Bobby say, I just think the biggest thing is you get excited about the game, and you want to go out there. And, we had no fans last year. Now we got fans, and everybody's happy, and everybody's excited, and the momentum is going, and, the juices are flowing, and you just want to talk, and you just want to, all that different type of stuff. But, when it comes down to it, man, I know that DK got us.
You're off to the best two-game start for a receiver in team history. Does anything feel different for you this season, whether it's you individually or the offense, or is it just kind of the way the ball's been finding you?
I feel like the only thing that's different is like everybody's trying to start talking about me, and I just want to kind of like chill and not be in front of the camera, and I just want to kind of do me. But as far as offense, when you get different coordinators coming in, the schemes change, the plays look a little different, the roles that they give you look a little different, and like for me, I feel like I'm back at how I was at K-State, so it's kind of like I told y'all when I first came in, like when you go to a certain team coming into the league, you don't know what type of philosophy a team has. You don't know what type of route running they want you to do. So there's a lot of stuff that like people, fans, coaches, whoever don't see that players have, because that player has to be able to put it on the side because he has to be able to do what the team wants him to do. So there's a lot of stuff that when you watch players play, you see some players, they're able to tell a story in their routes. They're able to add a whole bunch of stuff in their routes. They're able to move around, kind of able to do whatever they want to do. Can't do that with a lot of teams. And so that's why it's like easy for certain people to have success, because they got the freedom to run the routes the way that they want. And there's other times based off of the teams that you play, you got to get to a certain spot. Can't do all that moving around, can't be dancing at the line of scrimmage. So it really varies about what it is that the coach brings and what philosophy does he bring and what does he let his receivers do and what doesn't he let his receivers do. And, for me, I just felt like, I've been given a little more freedom to be able to do a lot of the stuff that I did back in college. And, I haven't had that freedom like I used to. And so now I'm just more comfortable in being able to do the stuff that I used to do, because that's how I always played. I just had to change my game up when I came here because it didn't fit how we did certain stuff, but I learned how to play to where it fit of what we did.
Is there a play in particular this season that illustrates that?
No, people are showing too much of the plays that I do, so I don't want to talk about nothing else that I do.
At any point in your football career as a kid, college, or now, were you ever a trash talker?
A track star?
Trash talker.
Oh, no, I was more of a trash talker in basketball than I was in football. Because in football, if I start talking trash, they just going to start hitting me. So I'd rather just let them do whatever they need to do, and I just go play.
Bobby said it's sort of like what drew him to sports, though, the rivalries and the trash talking, especially in the basketball series between the Lakers and the Celtics and stuff. What are your thoughts in general about what they're trying to do with this taunting rule?
Honestly, the taunting rule, I don't know. I honestly don't really have a lot of words for it. It's funny because I'm sitting here watching college and I get to see them talking trash and looking at people's face and doing the incomplete. Watch some type of clip where a dude was talking trash and then on the next play the other dude scored and then he started talking trash to him. And it's just like, dang, we can't even do that anymore. And these are people in college that's about to go to the league. We're not the ones in college, but we're the ones that have a whole bunch of rules that we got to be able to follow. So, it's tough. It's hard. I can only imagine what the playoffs is going to look like. And if that, what the Super Bowl is going to look like. Because you're talking about emotions. You talk about the juices flowing. Some people have never been to the Super Bowl. So you're going to tell them how not, what not to do. A lot of people hadn't never played in the Super Bowl and they're making rules. I just think it's hard because, as professional athletes, this is what we do. You don't let people get in your head. People talk to get in your head. You know what I mean? And that's just a different aspect of the game. You learn how not to let people get in your head, and if they do, you better know how to play because they're going to be coming for you every single time. It's almost like, we got to play football quiet. You can't talk unless it's to your team and stuff, and that's not realistic. That's never how the game was. So it's just hard. Like, it would have been different if we would have started football like that. No taunting. From the very beginning they started football. Then it wouldn't have been no questions asked. But to let it ride for however long the NFL's been, and now to start putting these different types of rules in, I mean, it takes away the emotions and all that different type of stuff. And so it's hard.
You said you'd rather, fly under the radar or whatever right now. But when you're breaking records by like Steve Largent and some of the other receivers who've been here and you're climbing the career list and stuff like that, I mean, does that mean something to you?
No. It only means something to me because it means something to y'all. Like, for me, I mean, I never really played for records, and then when you start hearing people talk about records, it make you start wanting to play for records. Like, I never played for stats. I never played for catches. And then you start looking at all this other type of stuff and you start realizing, like, you doing a lot of stuff that you never cared about. So, like, think about when you got incentives in your contracts. Now you worried about how many catches you could get to your incentives than just going to play football. And so for me, like, that's really what I care about. I just want to be able to play football, be the best that I could be, go work out, go do all that type of stuff. But, it's hard because, I was telling one of the guys, I said, if you do bad, you ain't got to worry about talking to nobody. You just figure out how to get better and keep it moving. If you're doing pretty good, you still don't have to worry about talking to people as much. But as soon as you start doing great, now you start getting social media attention. Everybody starts trying to post stuff about you, talk about you, and then you got to stand up here and be able to talk. And it makes it harder to find that me time, to be able to get away from that stuff and to die to that stuff, because all you see is like, he broke this and he's doing this and he's doing that. And you don't want to get caught up in all that type of stuff to where you start to lose focus on what's important, So for me, that's why I try to do stuff like this year. I want to dedicate, I always dedicate it to God, and that's number one. And I also want to dedicate it to my hometown. So I try to find different ways to be able to dedicate games to people or things back in my hometown that mean a lot to me. Because if I focus on this type of atmosphere where I'm at, it's hard to be satisfied, But when I focus on back home, I'm more so appreciative. I'm more so grateful. I've already won. When I look at growing up from back home and where I'm at right now, I got people that's proud of me. I got people looking up to me. I got people that love me and that choose me every day. When I'm in this position, it's hard to figure out who chooses me and who doesn't, because I'm getting messages from fans. It's only because I'm helping them on fantasy. It's not because they really love me. Like, they love me because I'm doing good, like they look up to me because they see what I'm about. But, like, I got people who look up to me and they know some bad stuff that I did. You know what I mean? Like, I got people who look up to me because I grew up in the same area where they came from. So for me, I try to look at the stuff that's most important. Because when I go back home, I don't need as much money that I made to be happy. But when you come here and you're in this atmosphere of what it's like to be in this 1%, like, nothing is enough. No matter what you get, you always want more. You want to be this and you want to be that. But, like, I'm learning how to be content. But I'm still hungry. But it's just I'm a healthier type of hungry. I'm not trying to eat all this craziness. I'm trying to be able to, like digest everything in a much healthier way to where I can enjoy this stuff for what it really is, rather than being like, man, I need a good game to feel happy. I don't need a great year to feel good about myself. But, like, that's what this stuff makes you want to have. And so I'm trying to learn how to be able to be happy with myself because I choose me, because God chooses me, my family chooses me, my friends chooses me. And that's what helps me go out there and at least be in a good headspace. Otherwise, I need y'all to talk about me to feel better about myself. And, y'all do a great job. But I don't want my worth to be found in people or things or my life or my girlfriend or, I want it to be found in God. And so that's what I focus on because that's what's most important to me. And I just try to keep that. It's a fight to do it because you want to talk good about yourself and tell everybody how, good you are. But, I'd rather just stay quiet and just focus on God's grace than think about it's all me.
Tribute you made to the middle school administrator. What did you do?
I'm not going to tell y'all what I did. I just got suspended. That's it.
The whole message that you had from
Oh, yeah. Sometimes, like, we're quick to write people off when people make mistakes. And the truth about it is we've all made mistakes in our life. It's just the mistakes that we made, sometimes people have given us enough grace to be able to overcome those things, to be something in this life. And a lot of times we forget about the grace that we was given, and so we hold people to a standard, and if they don't fit up or live up to that standard, we basically just downgrade them. And for me, man, you never know what somebody's life could look like if you give them a second chance. Who would have thought that if I did get 45 days, my whole life might look different. I might have not went to Booker T. Washington High School in Tulsa, Oklahoma. That was the best high school in Tulsa. Probably wouldn't have been able to go to Kansas State. When I look at the success that I had in high school, when you understand that, God puts people in positions to be able to help guide you to the places that you're meant to be at and that you're supposed to be at because of the purpose that was in you, I start realizing as much as I wanted to say I got myself here by myself, I didn't. And I had to start accepting that people helped get me here, but it wasn't because of them. It was because of what God did. He put people in places to be able to help lead me and guide me to where I was supposed to go. And so as I stand up here and I'm trying to live for God, I make mistakes. But when I look at everything that's happening in my life, I can't help but look back and remember about where my life could have went, what it would have looked like. Because growing up in Tulsa, life looks a lot different than growing up here. And so when you talk about other kids, like kids get in trouble all the time. Kids make mistakes in college all the time. NFL players make mistakes. But like when you give people a second chance and they want to do better, they want to do right, you'll be amazed with who they could become and what they can do, what they can accomplish. And that's why I wanted to dedicate that game to Carver.
When the incident happened, I know middle school, but how old were you when the incident happened? Was it?
I was like 8th grade. It was like towards the end of the year. Yeah.
Do you think having family members who made it to the league helped you prepare for some of the off-the-field stuff that comes with being a pro athlete?
Off the field?
Yeah, not just playing, but like money management, time management, I don't know, any of that stuff.
I've always been frugal. So, not really. Like, if anything, my dad was trying to tell me, he was like, you can live a little bit like a king now. And I was like, I'm good. I don't need much, because like I said, man, growing up in Tulsa, you didn't need much to be happy. Like, the best thing about Tulsa was we learned how to be happy with each other. I had friends that wanted to make it out, that wanted to be great, that wanted to be successful, that wanted to play football, that wanted to go D1. And so we were so focused on that we learned what memories was all about. Like, we learned how to make fun with what everybody had rather than saying we need this in order to change our life and our experiences. And, maybe that's because I went to college and I had some of my friends that I grew up with since 5th grade or since middle school come to Kansas State with me. And it made it that much more easier. One of my bros, Dante, he played with me when we was at Kansas State. And so then when I came here, you see different people that live in different places, different lifestyles. They care about different things. I never cared about clothes, never cared about cars, never cared about a lot of that stuff. So I was just saving money, but that's because I like to see people win. I like to see people around me that care just as much as I see that they care. I want to see them win, and that's what makes me happy. So, yeah, me going to buy the cars and this, and this, that don't really make me happy. And so when it comes to what my family did to help me get here, it was more so the politics. Like, it is hard playing football in the NFL because for a lot of people, it's not football. Somebody told me this before a couple years ago. They was like, for the people who got the contracts and stuff, it's fun. But for the people who don't, it's business. And so, but even to take it a step further, this will never stop being a business. Even though I got a third contract, I can still get traded. I can still get whatever you want to call it. And so there's no sense of feeling safe. And so when I talk to my dad and all that stuff, I start realizing the importance of being able to create that safe place within yourself. So for me, I try not to get in tune with the politics. I try not to get in tune with, I done seen people here that should have made the team that didn't. You know what I mean? I done seen people who should have got more opportunities and they didn't. I've learned what it's like to deal with politics and all that stuff. And when you see other people around you dealing with it from other teams and all that stuff, it's different. And so, like, you got to be able to have a safe place within yourself and within your family. So for my dad to play 7 years, my uncle to play like 3 years before he went to go play in Canada, like my mom even played like basketball, so she understands the game. Like, just to be able to have people like that who could be able to walk you through the mental side of it. That's what I needed help on, because there was some stuff that I didn't get, that I would have questions about. And so to be able to have that place where I can ask questions helped me out a lot.
Getting in, like being in the right headspace this year. You've been pretty open in the past talking about some of the issues battling anxiety, things like that. When do you feel like you got into the headspace you're in now that you want to be in?
I still deal with it, but honestly, I think that's the best thing that happened to me in my life, because it made me go deeper and it made me ask the questions that I probably would have never had to ask, and for me, I just want to be happy. I want to live my life, all that different type of stuff, but I also understand I'm not obligated to do anything for anyone. And so now I started being able to change the way that I see things in life. Anything that I do for anybody, it's a choice, and I appreciate it for what it is. The things that I go through, I choose to use those as lessons. The mistakes that I make, I don't beat myself up anymore because I'm trying to be perfect. I just try to learn through it so I can figure out how to be my best self. I've learned how to give myself way more grace than I've ever given myself before, because I want to see people win, and I'll help people no matter what they go through. But with me, I beat myself up and all that type of stuff. But like, I've stopped worrying about how people view me, or at least I'm trying to stop worrying about how people view me based off of my mistakes, or based off of my decision makings, or based off of my successes, or based off of the way that I play. Because sometimes I get so caught up in like, what if I don't play the way that other people see me as playing? I got paid however much. A lot of people know how much I got paid more than I care. And so it's like, what if I'm not playing up to that? Am I supposed to be doing this? Am I supposed to be doing that? Like, it's hard, but for me, I play so much more like relaxed when I just go play for God, and I find something that means more to me than all this stuff that means more to everybody else. And for that, it's my family, it's my friends, it's my city. And being able to hear people in my city talk about how happy they are for me, how proud they are for me, how I'm trying to be able to bring more exposure to the people, things, events that took place, back in the day before me or after me, that means more to me than any of the successes that I can have here. You know what I mean? Because, like I said, I'll always want more. Just being in this position, it's hard not to, because you see, we get stuff for free. You know what I mean? We get all this different type of stuff, and so it's hard to be content, because you see the next person beside you got this type of car, now you want this. This person got this type of house, now you want this type of house. Like, it never stops. And so for me, like I said, I just want to enjoy it for what it is, but I also want to realize that, that doesn't give me eternal happiness. At the end of the day, it just gives me a sense of meaning that comes and goes, whenever it wants.
How did you start to learn that? Who or did somebody else think of you?
Sometimes you just got to experience it yourself. You know what I mean? Like, it's a great feeling to buy a house, but it's a different feeling when you're still lonely in it by yourself. You know what I mean? So, like, you got to be able to find self-worth at the end of the day. And the hardest part about being in the league is sometimes we find our self-worth in the game that we play. So it's like, if I have a good game, I'm good for the whole week. If I have a bad game, I'm upset, I'm sad, I don't want to talk to nobody, I'm ready for the next game just so I can be happy again. And it can't be like that, And so Kurt Franklin said something the other day. He was talking about a spouse, but he was like talking about how it was an addition, And so for me, I started changing the way that I seen everything else. Like, I'm good if I don't have anything in my life, but everything that I do have in my life is an addition. Friends, those are additions. Family, additions. Sports, additions. Money, additions. All this stuff is additions, right? Like me standing up here, addition. All that other stuff could be taken away too. And so those are subtractions. But I want to enjoy everything for what it is. It's an addition. Because this is in my life, it's getting better. Because friends are in my life, it's better. Because family's in my life, it's better. But I'm also good at the same time, because I'm realizing my self-worth and my sense. And I'm appreciating having family there and friends and football and the Seahawks and people in general. I can see it for what it is and fall in love with the reality of life rather than the imagination that we somewhat get caught up in. All right. Now I got to go practice.